Imagine you collapse on a busy street. Hundreds of people walk past. Some glance down. Most keep moving. Not one person stops to help. Now imagine you collapse on a quiet street. One person sees you. They stop immediately. That should not make sense. More people should mean more help. More witnesses should mean more safety. But the math of human compassion does not work the way you think it does. This is the bystander effect. And once you understand what is actually happening inside every one of those passing strangers, you will never look at a crowd the same way again. In 1964, a young woman named Kitty Genovese was stabbed to death outside her apartment building in Queens, New York. The attack lasted over half an hour. Dozens of neighbors heard her screaming. The original reports claimed that 38 people witnessed some part of the attack, and not one of them called the police until it was too late. The story ignited a national outrage. How could this happen? How could 38 human beings hear a woman dying and do nothing? Two social psychologists, Darley and Bibb, refused to accept the easy answer. The easy answer was that the witnesses were cold, selfish, morally broken people. Darley and Latané suspected the truth was stranger and more disturbing than that. They suspected it was not the people that were broken. It was the situation. So they built an experiment. They brought participants into a laboratory, one at a time, and told each person they would be having a conversation with other students through an intercom system. What each participant did not know was that there were no other students. The other voices were pre-recorded. The researchers controlled the whole scenario. At some point during the conversation, one of the recorded voices began to describe symptoms of an epileptic seizure. The voice grew increasingly distressed, then stopped making sense, then went silent. Here is what Darley and Latané found. When participants believed they were the only one who heard the seizure, 85% of them left the room and went to get help within 1 minute. Fast, decisive, human. But when participants believed there were 4 other people also listening on the intercom, only 31% responded within that same minute. Some never responded at all. Same emergency, same person in danger. The only thing that changed was how many witnesses each participant believed were present. The crowd was not protecting the victim. The crowd was protecting each bystander from the discomfort of having to act. Darley and Latané called this diffusion of responsibility. When you are alone and something goes wrong, the full weight of that moment lands on you. You feel it. You act. But when you are surrounded by others, that weight gets divided. Each person in the crowd assumes that someone else will handle it. Each person looks around, sees that nobody else seems alarmed, and concludes that perhaps it is not as serious as it first appeared. This is the second mechanism at work, and it is the more insidious one. Darley and Latané called it pluralistic ignorance. You are scared. You are not sure what to do. So you look at the people around you for a signal, and they are doing exactly the same thing. They are looking at you. Everyone in the crowd is secretly panicking and secretly watching everyone else appear calm. And so everyone concludes that the situation must not require action. You are all performing composure for each other while a person bleeds on the floor. This is not a character flaw. It is a feature of the social brain that has been running inside your skull for hundreds of thousands of years. Your ancestors did not survive as isolated individuals. They survived in groups. And inside a group, the cost of overreacting is enormous. You waste energy. You cause panic. You damage your reputation as someone with good judgment. Your nervous system learned to wait for a social signal before escalating into action. It learned to read the crowd before committing to a response. That instinct served your ancestors well in ambiguous situations around the fire. It kills people on subway platforms in 2024. Since Darley and Latané published their original findings, the effect has been replicated dozens of times in dozens of configurations. Researchers have staged medical emergencies, crimes, accidents, and fires. The pattern holds with remarkable consistency. The more witnesses, the slower and less likely any individual response. But here is the part that should stop you cold. In a 1968 follow-up study, Darley and Latané placed participants in a room that began to fill with smoke. When participants were alone, 75% reported the smoke within 2 minutes. When participants were placed in a group of 3 strangers, only 38% reported it within 4 minutes. Some groups sat in a room visibly filling with smoke for 6 full minutes, coughing, waving the smoke away from their faces, and never once